Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Joshua Stratton, a key figure behind What's Your Current. Joshua brings a unique blend of expertise in marketing, communications, and a deep passion for conversation. With over a decade of involvement in organizations like the Mule Deer Foundation and Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Based in the US, What's Your Current, with over 2 decades of experience, is redefining strategy and branding for grit industries. Think outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing, and conservation. We'll be exploring his founding journey, how his business empowers brands in these niche markets, and his vision for scaling this impact-driven venture. With that being said, let's dive right in. Joshua, welcome to Founders Future.
Man, thanks for having me, brother. It's good to be here.
An absolute pleasure, man. Absolute
Yeah.
pleasure. I really would love to start at the top, especially with what you're doing in such a niche market. Would love to hear what specific problem in the branding or strategy landscape really inspired you to start and be a part of What's Your Current.
So, what's your current's our website? The company is called Against the Current.
Yes.
And Against the Current, I think, has seen a few different iterations in its time, like any business. The catalyst for Against the Current came from spending a number of years in the space, whether that was as a fly fishing guide, whether that was running the fly fishing film tour as the US manager of the fly fishing film tour, working for Cabela's and their marketing team. What I saw in a lot of that at that point in time, which was mid 2000s, was a lot of brands were losing their authenticity and they were losing grasp of where this new generation of hunter and angler and conservationists, where were they playing? How are they engaging? What were they looking for? And so Against the Current came out of what we saw was just a great opportunity to tell story in a different way and to tell story in a better way. At that point in time, we did a lot of brand activations, a lot of event creation, and we did a lot of product seeding into television shows as well as management, kind of executive producing roles of outdoor TV. Fast forward to today, we're a much different entity, though we may do some of those things to this day. I think what drives us is different. I think that the pendulum is swinging. I think that how agencies have to function in today's market looks a lot different. And we really look at ourselves as fractional solutions at this point. We try to be extensions of marketing teams that I think probably are already really good, but they have to manage so many things. So, how can we come in from a fractional basis, whether that's for a campaign, whether that's for a quarterly growth goal, whether that's for a multi-year growth strategy that's been implemented through a new strategic plan? How can we come in and be a true strategic ally to the success that you already have, the quality team that you already have, but we're an extension of that in a hyper-focused way. And I've been in the outdoor recreational industry now I started when I was 15. So it's been a minute. And what that has allowed me to understand consumer behavior in a slightly different way. Data has always been really important to me. My mother was a neurological psychologist, so I grew up in a very science-based home and a very data-centric home. And early on, that was important to me. We try to leverage our relationships in the space to stay on top of that. But also, what can we see inside the data that maybe you're not seeing? So we try to be those fresh eyes. We try to apply our hands-on experience in the industry with modern data and modern tools to help you forecast trends that maybe you're not seeing. And then
Mm.
as we forecast those trends, how do we now create a campaign? How do we create the messaging? How do we create the engagements that are going to allow you to stay in front of your competitor and not be responding to trends, but truly be someone in the space who's creating the trends that everyone else is trying to replicate?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And just incredible getting a nice deep dive. I would love to get into it a bit further, especially for our listeners here, Josh. For the ones that aren't very keen on this space and what you're doing here, really walk us through how Against the Current is generating revenue today. So, as far as the core offer, exactly how it's structured for your clients when they come to you, and who is your ideal client when working with them. Again, as I mentioned for our listeners, if there is alignment there once this episode does come out, want to be able to get them to the right place for you. How's that structured?
I think that it really depends. We try to fit in where we fit in. Where what we care about most is there real opportunity for us to not be a liability on your line item, not a justification? Can we really come in whatever time period you want us around, can we bring measurable value to your brand? And can we do that in a way that allows us to also be profitable as a company? And so we don't operate in a whole lot of set standards. There are some things that we do. I think, again, going to a changing landscape in the agency world, we don't operate on hours. We don't operate on if we travel expecting a reimbursement. We don't do any of those things. It's just a flat line. This is what we believe the value is. We come to that value by what we believe the value in return will be for that work. So it's not based upon necessarily our hours or
Mm.
based upon our experience. It's based upon what value have you asked us to create? What does that mean in revenue for your business? And then we apply a percentage of that to what we believe our work is worth. And and then we get creative. Sometimes that looks like a standard kind of monthly retainer model. Sometimes that looks us betting on ourselves and saying, hey, we'll take it on the back end and taking commission. Sometimes that looks like becoming true partners with the company and taking an equity play. We try to be as diverse as possible with solution because we know that every business just like ours will find itself in a season where they have to be creative. And if we can come in and be that creative solution, then that's what we want to do. But you do have to check some boxes, right?
Yeah.
And those boxes really are, I think we probably slow roll things in the beginning more than others. We try our best to really make sure it's the right fit. We don't want to have a high pressure sales situation. We don't want
Right.
to, man, we want to uncover every single rock and we want you to do the same thing with us. And
Right.
so, however long that takes, on average, though, we're dealing with national brands, we're dealing with national conservation organizations or national federal agency. And but the scale of those brands on a national level is probably a little smaller than you would expect when you talk a national brand. So those brands that are bringing in a revenue of 3 to 5 million, we've found is a sweet spot where they're not hammered or restrained with cash flow problems necessarily, but it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense in their current business model to have a 10-person marketing team that is going to add $1 million+ to their bottom line, right? We love those. From a nonprofit perspective, that 80 to $100 million a year revenuing nonprofit, man, particularly in the conservation space, they're really limited in their communication and marketing team. It's hard to look a donor in the face and say, this is where the money's going, particularly when your mission is not that. And so, in those relationships, it's more about short term. It's more about strategic. It's more about putting in processes that allow them in a short period of time to achieve a long-term goal. So increase the runway to get
Mm.
to their goal. shorten the runway for them to get to their goal and do that at what would be a nominal cost when you took a step back and said, oh, really, we need six more people with insurance and 401ks and all that. We're coming in and saying, hey, we're going to work with your team. We're going to show them what we know.
Yep.
We're going to get them trained up and we're going to build the processes so that we can walk away and you have a fully functioning team. The great thing about today's world is there's so many tools out there that can optimize your time, right? There's so many tools out there that can optimize your efficiency. And it's important to figure out how to utilize those tools without losing the human touch that I think we believe is incredibly vital to storytelling in today's environment.
I love it. I love that, Joshua. With that, there, I mean, it really sounds like brand strategy and narrative development. That is your go-to. That is the offer that you're bringing for your clients and what you're really providing quality with. On that front, though, I would love for you to touch on the fact that I've had so many guests on the show. Some have had a very similar fulfillment model. And one thing that they have mentioned to me is the difficult side of it when it comes to scale. What has been your personal experience with that and scaling an offer like this so far?
Your talent model just has to be robust, right? Your bench has to be robust. And luckily, we're in a position where we have Emmy Award winning directors of photography and editors to up and coming young guys who are really great on YouTube or Instagram or short form. And we can tap those resources as needed. And so we have a really strong nuclear team that is few and will never become more than that. Our goal is we never want to have a 15, 20 employees. No, like we want to have four. We want to have four or five full time. And our model is that also all of our employees are owners. And
I love
so we try to keep those guys motivated, guys and gals motivated in that way. And with our kind of acquisition model or coming in and helping with brands sometimes from an equity perspective, the company of Against the Current absorbs that equity. And then that becomes an asset to everyone that's also an owner of the company. For us, the scale is really just about being really defined about what we do. We only do four things: strategy, brand narrative, partnerships and revenue diversification, and insights and behavior. If it does not fall into one of those four categories, we don't touch it. So, one, that's how we help. We get really distilled about what we do and what we don't do. And then making sure that our roster, our bench is always deep and that we're managing those relationships appropriately so that when that call comes in and we need to expand, that's one phone call away.
I love it. I love that. For that acquisition side of things, what does that look like as far as the successes that you are seeing right now on having a predictable and consistent lead gen and lead flow, something where you can pull that lever and know that you can have consistent, predictable leads coming in? Is that something that you currently have right now, or what are the channels that are working most effective for you?
Yeah, we do have some contract guys who help us with lead gen. That's all they do. And so, again, if we can build in some automation, we can have some outside sources who are at least getting people to the door, and then we take over at that point. That's been the most successful model for us. Also, 25 years in one industry, the Rolodex is pretty deep, right? So we still do a lot of handshaking. We get on a lot of planes. We go to a lot of trade shows. We spend the time to sit down with people one on one and share a cup of coffee and a meal. And we check in with people regularly who we know aren't ready to do work with us. But for us, it's more than doing work. We want to get to know them. We want to consider them colleagues fighting for the same thing that we're fighting for. And for us, it's about building those relationships over time. It's about pulling the stress of a close off of the conversation and fostering relationships that allow us to find natural intersections where it just makes sense for them to work with us and vice versa for us to work with them.
I love that. I love that. Walk us through that a little bit, because I love what you guys are doing here. But on that side, so you're outsourcing a bit of the lead gen. You have
Yep.
some incredible referral side of things with 25 years experience. But walk us through what happens when pipeline slows down a bit. Is that something that you're thinking about when it comes to the scalability? Is there different avenues that you
I'll be
have?
honest, we don't worry about it.
I love that.
Our model is don't worry about it. That's life. Life ebbs and flows. And part of Against the Current, the story of Against the Current is that Against the Current came out of me recovering from drug and alcohol addiction.
Wow.
I was an addict for 15 years
Wow.
and was saved,
It's incredible.
literally. And so, what we know is that when we're living right, when we're putting in the right time,
Mm,
the right places, and fostering people not for a transactional basis, but on a belief that everyone who we come in contact with is an opportunity for us to become better people and also maybe a chance for us to help someone else become a better person. If things are slowing down, maybe because God has called us into a season of
mm,
rest.
mm,
Maybe we need to be slowing down because we need to be focusing on other things. Maybe that's learning new skills internally so that we can offer better services. Maybe that's uniting our team to focus on each other and just take that time to take a step back.
mm.
Maybe a key team member has a lot going on in their life, and really, we don't need more work right now. What we need is to surround that team member and create support and take some of the work off of their plate. It's easy to get, I think, stress as an entrepreneur. It's easy to keep your foot on the gas pedal and feel like you always got to be selling and ABC, right? Always got to always be closing. But I just don't think that's real. And I think when that's your mindset, you end up separating yourself from what is the beauty of being an entrepreneur, which is one, being in control of your time, getting to prioritize the way of life you want to live, and three, being able to build meaningful relationships with people that don't always have a financial outcome. And yeah, the a slowed down pipeline is just not something we get bent out of shape about.
I love that. Well, so on that same front, then, what would, especially with that mindset that you have, Joshua, which is incredible to have that, and especially for our listeners to be able to hear a founder's mindset on that front, what would you point to a bottleneck right now that you're thinking about looking to solve, whether it is on the fulfillment side of the client, converting your clients, the lead gen side, which is something that you're thinking about right now that you need to solve?
I think it's always just about efficiency.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest driver is how can we be more efficient in our time? How can we be more efficient in the quality of the product that we deliver back to our clients? I think that's all we can really worry about. Again, I think that when we show up and do the right work and do it the right way, work comes. I'm blessed to have a team of people who don't view work from a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 mindset.
All right.
We view work as an opportunity. Again, going back to the faith of many of the people who I work with, we believe it's our calling to work
Absolutely.
and it's our responsibility to steward those opportunities well. And so when the work is there, we work.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter really when or how or where. It's just the work has to get done. And so I don't I don't have a team of people who are frustrated
Right.
about, oh man, dude, I was working till 11 o'clock last night, right? But in the same hand, I don't have guys who are frustrated because they didn't get to go sit in the duck blind every day during duck season if they wanted to,
Right.
because I know they'll put in the time and
Mm.
they'll get the work done. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Does. Absolutely, it does. And I just
uh,
have two more for you on that front before we do wrap up the show. And the first one's going to be more on the vision side. Joshua, what does the rest of this year look like going into 2026? Clear as day, the passion and the drive that you have for Against the Current. So walk us through what that picture is like in your mind for the rest of this year to keep growing and scaling this vision.
I think we're looking to push into a couple of other industries. We think there's some opportunity in some industries that we have like personal passion for, but haven't historically from a business perspective have passion for,
Mm,
that being the cycling industry, that being the golf industry. We'd like to see maybe four more clients come on board in a significant capacity. And most importantly, we want to continue to steward and care for the clients that we have now and continue to foster those relationships if they have an opportunity to grow over time.
I absolutely love that. And then last but certainly not least here, just a pleasure having you on, really walking us through. And I think that's the beauty of having so many different types of founders and CEOs and just an incredible journey that you've been on, Josh. So truly appreciate you coming on and telling your journey so far. To finish us off, what is a piece of advice that you can offer to our listeners tuning in right now, listening to your journey, hearing your successes, and hearing where you want to take this? What can you provide for them before we wrap it up?
Man, I think that whether you're itching to become a founder or whether you're listening to this as someone who works for a startup or a founder run organization, time is fleeting. Our time on this earth is not guaranteed. And so it's important that we wake up and we're doing something that is fulfilling to our lives.
Mm,
And being a founder is fulfilling for some. Working for a founder run organization is as fulfilling for others. And so I think finding what truly motivates you outside of a paycheck, outside of a potential dream, make sure that every day you're making steps to achieve the goal that you believe you've been called to. And sometimes that looks like shaking it up.
mm,
Sometimes that looks like walking away from stability. Sometimes that looks like stressful months or years. Sometimes that looks like working three jobs. But I don't think it should ever look like missing the things that your kids need from you,
mm,
or it should ever look like putting your marriage or your relationship on the back burner. I think we're called to live a balanced life, to be present founders and leaders while also being present partners and present parents if you're blessed to have children. And if those things get out of balance, success will never be found, in my opinion.
Absolutely beautiful and incredible. Truly, thank you so much for that, Joshua. And with that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another incredibly inspiring episode of Founders Future. Joshua, just want to thank you again coming on the show, sharing your amazing journey this far and your insights from where you started to where you are now. And it truly has been an honor and a pleasure to hear your journey and clear as day why you're seeing the success that you're seeing and why you will continue to see that. So again, thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Against the Current at whatsyourcurrent.com to learn more about their work. And for more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.